So here's your Friday video history update, except it's not Friday, it's a Tuesday, and I'm not on campus, I'm in Washington, D.C. But anyway, so since I missed Friday, I thought I'd take advantage of my Washington, D.C. trip to tell you about William McKee Dunn. And I made a really solid attempt to find his gravesite here at Oak Hill Cemetery, just off Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. And they don't really open until 9, but I was here at like 7:30 trying to find it, and it's not real well mapped, and it's huge, and it's old, and it's very hilly, and it's not laid out real organized. Because of its age and hills and everything else. So no luck on that one. But he is buried here. William McKee Dunn is back there somewhere. And so a couple things about him that might be worth knowing. So the first off, if you've ever looked at a DC Metro map, you'll see that there is a place on the Metro map called Dunn Loring, D-U-N-N-L-O-R-I-N-G. Dunn Loring is actually a city outside of the DC in Virginia that he founded after he retired. That was his retirement project. So a little bit about him. He graduated from IU in 1832 and then went on to serve in the state legislature and in Congress. He served in Congress during the Civil War. He eventually lost re-election from Congress because of his abolitionist stance, which wasn't particularly popular in southern Indiana at that point. And what he had been doing while he was in Congress is when Congress would recess or they'd take a break, he would ride out to Virginia and volunteer as an adjutant, as an assistant to whatever general he could find out there during the war. So this would be like the modern day thing of like a congressman who would like fly to Iraq or Afghanistan, spend 4 or 5 days serving with the troops, and then fly back and go back to Congress. So he was doing this during the war. When he didn't get reelected, he just rode out and said, "Hey, I'm here now, this is what I'm doing." And so they made him a captain, and he served as an adjutant throughout the war, an assistant to a number of different generals. And at Appomattox, he was actually there when they got word that General Lee was going to surrender. And so he was one of the 2 Union officers that were sent out to find General Lee and escort him to the place where the surrender would be taking place. They also helped choose the location of that surrender signing. So in doing so, you know, he was literally there at the surrender at Appomattox that basically ended the Civil War. After that, he stayed in the Army, became part of the Adjutant General Corps, a lawyer within the Army, and went on to be one of the early Adjutant Generals in the U.S. Army and retired as a Brigadier General. So he kind of did it the opposite of how most people do it today, where they serve in the military and then have a political career. He had a political career and then went and served in the military. And so he spent a lot of his life here in Washington, D.C. He's buried somewhere back behind me. He actually owned the land that became Dunn Loring, Virginia. So if you see that on the map, that's there. And then he's also the source of the phrase, the Fighting Dunns. He was the one that had documented how many of the Dunns had served in the Civil War. And his claim was that every male descendant of Williamson Dunn was serving in the Civil War. Every of age descendant, male descendant, was serving in the Civil War, which earned the family the name the Fighting Dunns. And so yeah, so here is one of those Dunn family members, Dunn Woods, Dunn Meadow, same Dunns that I'm talking about here. So there's a little bit of information about Brigadier General William McKee Dunn, and he's buried somewhere back here. Saw it on the internet, saw the marker, but they didn't really give a good location. So my attempt at hiking 22 acres at sunrise didn't really pan out in trying to just luckily run across it and find it. But all right, so we'll be up for another update next week, or the end of this week hopefully, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.